I love a good road trip, so when we got our first EV in 2018, I was really anxious to see if it would work. Almost 5 years later, and we've covered a good chunk of the country, doing some of these routes multiple times. Add that to my previous internal combustion road trips, and even the Great American Road Trip in Ireland, I think I'm qualified to share my top 5 road trip tips. Most of these will apply to any kind of vehicle, but some are EV specific. Number 1, pack like a camel and bring water. Sounds super basic,
but it's good for you.
Cheaper, and all in how you do it. We start each trip with bottles filled and at least one large, good-sealing pitcher for refills. Sometimes that'll fit in the cooler, other times it's best to keep it in the lower pockets in the rear of the Model Y. It beats buying expensive bottled water along the way, reduces plastic waste and garbage in the car. The pitchers then can be refilled daily, either at hotels or many campgrounds. I recommend something that seals really well, unlike a gallon jug where the top could just pop off. If you do end up buying water on the road, buy large bottles that can be saved and refilled for the coming days. And with all that water, tip number 2 is know your passengers and communicate. And I'm not talking about getting to know the vagrant you picked up outside of Skokie, but have a general sense of when you're going to need to stop. On a trip to Cincinnati a couple years ago, I had big dreams of making a long stretch before we had to stop and charge, and we did, but we also had to stop for a restroom break along the way.
What? I had to go.
Not the end of the world, but it galled me to know we stopped just 1 or 2 exits after a supercharger. If I would have asked before the supercharger exit, we could have saved time later. So go ahead and plan those long stretches, but know your bailout options and ask before you hit them to make a smoother drive. Speaking of planning and optimizing your time, if your trip is multiple days, tip number 3 is to make use of hotel destination chargers, level 2 charging in hotel parking lots, or plugging it at a campsite if it's powered. On a better route planner, I like to figure out the vicinity of where I want to stop each night, then swing over to PlugShare to see what hotel options offer charging. I've done a whole video showing this in detail, explaining my thought process that I'll link to here. Charging at hotels is a great amenity, and in most cases it's even free. Now, I do like to have a backup plan and know that there's a fast charger somewhere in the vicinity, just in case that hotel has the charger blocked, another vehicle's using it, and not unplugging overnight. So far I've had good luck, but more EVs are hitting the road every day. With campsites, be prepared with the correct adapters for the plugs that they have. With planning and charging, you and your passengers may be a little frustrated that taking an EV road trip takes a little bit longer. So number 4 is a time-saving tip. Shop along the way. Instead of a major grocery and supply trip before you leave home, make use of a 25-minute charge stop to do your shopping. Many chargers are at Targets or Walmarts or grocery stores, and in some of the smaller towns, local stores would really appreciate your business.
You know you're going to forget something anyway, so might as well plan it into the trip. People in Montana brush their teeth too.
If your shopping takes more than 25 minutes, you can either shop a little bit at multiple stops or go through your whole shopping list in one stop and charge longer. It'll reduce or even eliminate the time for your next stop. Piggybacking off of that is tip 4.5, and this is really a good tip for parents who are traveling solo with children. A shallow box or a reusable bag on the passenger seat filled with snacks is a great way to keep kids content through the boring parts. We like to balance healthy snacks, fruit and vegetables, with treats that may be more of a reward for good behavior or patience on long stretches. A couple important pointers on this. First,
prepare enough for mom or dad to take their cut too.
Second, start slow and leave gaps between snacks so the box isn't empty by noon. And third, when distributing, opening packages, handing back napkins for a spill, be sure to engage any driver assistance system you have to make sure as you're doing those things, there's another set of eyes on the road helping you. Like your front seat snacks, tip number 5 is about keeping your frunk organized too. Now there are some dividers and bags that you can get for this, but I'm talking more about knowing your own travel style and using the frunk in the right way for you. Some people prefer to have their luggage in there, we generally prefer to keep refill items in the frunk. That means the stuff you keep in your main bags that just needs to be replenished over time. So we may pack some diapers or clothes in the frunk, and after a couple days, freshen up and restock the main bags that we take into the hotel. Depending on your trip, and we've done this too, you may want to reserve it for wet or muddy adventure items, shoes, boots, swimsuits, or towels that may make the cabin a little funky. If it's mostly wet swim gear in the summertime, the heat of the frunk will dry most of that stuff out. And longtime viewers will know I have to include this bonus tip, a plug kit and small compressor for your tires. Through all of our road trips in either gas cars or EVs, I've only had tire issues on one trip, but 2 flats on one trip.
Unbelievable!
But we were prepared and made it through by having a plug kit and a small air compressor in the car. Obviously, this was a fluke and had nothing to do with us driving an EV, but a lot of newer cars aren't coming with spares. So be prepared in the unlikely event of a flat. I'm just starting to plan an August road trip, and we'll be using these tips as I prepare and as we travel. So subscribe and stay tuned for that trip coming up, or check out my earlier playlists of other road trips where we learn along the way. If you have additional tips, please leave those in the comments below. It's always interesting to see how other people travel. So thank you for doing that. Have a great day, happy road tripping, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks. Sounds super basic.
But it's good for you. I bumped it.
All right, can you look at the camera and smile?
I literally can't drink it, but I think I'm faking it, okay? It's stuck in an ice patch.
So,
You realize you are mouthing the words as I say them, and that's really weird.
piggybacking off of that,
So you might as well plan it into the trip. That's not how I talk at all. What's the line again? It has clauses that are not sticking.
piggyback.
So you might as well plan it into the trip. You're still doing it. It's so weird.
I wrote it.
That doesn't make it less weird. This is my face.
Leave. We'll say it how you'd say it.
I wouldn't say it.
Get up.
Thank you, Centron. We gotta move in like a live-in actor for you to use. That's not me.
Look at the camera. 1, 2, 3. Look at Mom.
Might look too spooky.
Okay, one of those will work.
You all guys all done?